Hello, all Quincy High School families and students. My name is Kevin Mahoney. I'm the athletic director here at Quincy High School. I just wanted to provide all our families with the most up-to-date information as it pertains to our athletic programs, which will be getting underway tomorrow, Friday, September 18th, with our first day of tryouts and practice. So we're going to run through some PowerPoint slides today that just gives you all the guidelines, QPS policies, and then also all the safety protocols that are in place for our athletic programs to operate in a safe and healthy manner. We are super excited to have our athletes back in action after a long layoff. And our coaches have worked tremendously hard over the summer, and I know that they are all excited to see their student athletes as well. So, okay, so let me pull up our presentation, and then we'll get going. Okay. All right. So my contact information is right there. Okay. My office line and my email. Please do not hesitate to contact me with any questions that comes up during the season or tomorrow before tryouts start, things like that. Always willing to help you guys out. So feel free to touch base with me. I'm fortunate to have a few individuals that help us out here in the athletic department. Our support staff, our athletic trainer, Steve Garofalo, tremendous help at all the practices and games. Steve's email is right there for if any student athlete suffers a injury during the season, feel free to touch base with him. He'll be happy to help you guys out. Coach Beach is our equipment manager. He helps out with not only our equipment, but also he works a lot of the games and, has great interactions with the kids. He's also our baseball coach. So there's his email if anything pops up with equipment. And then our school nurses are right there, their phone number for their office, and then also their fax number. And their email addresses are just their full name at quincypublicschools.com. If you guys want to send over any physicals that need to be up to date, feel free to touch base with them and myself. All right, so the fall sports right now that we're approved to play this fall are girls volleyball, girls soccer, boys golf, and boys and girls cross country. So our girls volleyball team will have 3 levels. Girls soccer will also have 3 levels. Boys soccer will have the varsity and JV. Same with boys golf, and then our boys and girls cross country is a co-op with North Quincy. Our fall coaches are right there. Coach Niosi for girls volleyball, Coach Mongo for boys soccer, Coach Coleman for girls soccer, Coach Salvucci for boys golf, and Coach Hennessy for the Q&Q cross country team. And their emails are right there as well. Feel free to touch base with them. If you have any sport specific questions, they'll be happy to get back to you and answer any questions. Now, some of you might be asking where's the traditional football and cheerleading? Well, because of their high risk nature, the state and the MIAA have worked to come up with a 4-sport season calendar. So the calendar is listed right here. You'll see right now, our first day being tomorrow, September 18th, and running through November 20th will be the fall sports season with the sports that we just discussed. And then fall football and fall cheer were delayed to what they're referring to as a floating season. And you'll see there it starts February 22nd. Now, our winter sports season traditionally will run the normal calendars, but before each season, the state, the MIAA will get together, discuss where their risk levels are, and then go from there. So those decisions for the winter sports, spring sports have not been made at this time. Those decisions will come as we get closer to each of those seasons. Now, communication, obviously a big piece right now with all our students and families remote, but our website is a big avenue that I use to communicate. So for daily announcements, schedules, rosters, any postponements that might pop up, please go to our website. Some of the schedules have already been posted. And also on Twitter at QHS Athletics, I'll do a lot of tweets with daily schedules, postponements, rainouts, some awards that we might get, things like that. So check out both of those for any sort of communication. Okay, so now our registration steps, guidelines. So FamilyID is obviously the biggest piece. All athletes must be registered on FamilyID in order to participate. So if you haven't signed up yet and you plan on playing a fall sport, please get on there tonight. FamilyID helps our coaches give them a team-by-team roster, provides us with emergency contact information, medical history, which we share with both Steve, our athletic trainer, and also our nurses. The other step is a physical. So all athletes must have an up-to-date copy of an in-person physical on file with our nurses before the first date. And they're good within the last 13 months. So if you haven't brought in an up-to-date physical, please email it to myself or the nurses, or please bring a hard copy to the first day of tryouts and give it to the coach, which they'll check off. I know that right now it might be kind of busy out there with getting an appointment with your primary care. So there is some locations in Quincy that do offer sports physicals, some minute clinics and urgent cares. I know one in particular, Convenient MD on Washington Street in Quincy, is offering sports physicals for $20. So just please take care of that so that you're able to try out. The other step is an impact concussion test. So this test is what our athletic trainer and your primary care will use. The results of the baseline test, and then also if your student suffered a concussion during the season, they'll look at the post-injury exam, and they'll use those scores to treat the severity of the injury. So the students only have to take this once. Some students might have taken care of it in 8th grade, but right now our system is got deactivated over the summer. We're waiting for them to activate the account, and then we can begin our testing. So our plan is to set up some dates and times next week after teams are made, where we'll have impact testing for individual teams for the kids that need to take the impact test. And then the final step is our user fee policy. So obviously all athletes are required to pay a user fee in order to participate. We do ask that the user fees be submitted before the first contest date, and those can be made by cash, check, money order, or paid online. For the fall sports that we're offering right now, it will be $100 cost. And we do offer payment plan options for those families that might need financial assistance. In that case, just please reach out to me and we can discuss a payment plan. For the uniform and equipment policy, any equipment that we provide for you guys, both equipment and a uniform, we do ask that at the end of the season, please return that to us, to your coach. We keep a record of that. Anybody that is missing something, we have a list that will prevent you from participating in the next season. And then if you're a senior, it would prevent you from signing out for graduation if whatever you owe is not rectified beforehand. So we just ask you to please return everything that we provide for you guys. Now, school day requirements, obviously a different time right now for our students being remote, but our teachers are going to be taking attendance for these remote classes. So our athletes are going to be expected to be logged on and participating fully in those classes. And through Aspen, we'll provide our coaches with a daily attendance sheet. So the same requirements will go if the student was there participating fully, then they'll be able to practice and play that day. If they were not in attendance or not logged in, then they will not be able to practice or play. And then obviously the respect and integrity piece, please treat your peers, your classmates, and the staff here at Quincy High School with respect, and perform to the best of their ability in the classroom. Even though we are remote, please please show respect to the staff and your classmates. Sportsmanship, traditional handshakes and going through the line at the end of the game is not going to be a thing right now, but we do want to maintain that positive environment and show great sportsmanship to our teammates, to our coaches, to the other team, the opponents, and also to the officials. So maintaining that positive environment is a big thing for our athletes, coaches, and our parents. Zero tolerance policy to any sort of bullying, hazing, or harassment. If you feel that you that you're being bullied or harassed, please reach out to myself, to your coach, guidance counselor, a dean, somebody, so that we can help and alleviate the situation. And also threw in there also no pranking. This was a couple instances that we've dealt with over the last couple of years, especially around the Quincy North Quincy games. So we please ask our student athletes to not get involved in the pranking activities between any sort of athletic programs. Okay, a few MIAA rules to touch base on. The bona fide team member rule. So if you make the team, you're a part of the high school program here at Quincy High School. You're precluded from missing any high school practice or competition in order to participate in a non-school related athletic activity. They did throw in that Saturdays and Sunday practices only may be excluded, but that's going to be a decision based on the coach. So please have a conversation with them if you run into that situation. We do have some specific cases that we run into with some of our athletes, in which that case we can talk about a waiver process that needs to be approved by myself, the coach, and our principal. And then another MIAA piece is the chemical health rule. The MIAA did announce that they eliminated the any previous chemical health violations that are out there. So if you had one last year, they waived those. So it's going to be a fresh slate. However, the rule still exists. So we do want to emphasize the importance of this rule. If a student athlete is in any sort of way in possession or in possession of alcohol, drugs, vape, there is a violation, and QPS added an amendment to this that says if you're knowingly in the presence of, so you might not be partaking in it, but if you're in the presence of, then you also are in violation of the rule. And the first violation would be 25% of the season, and then the second violation would be a loss of 60% of the season. Okay, so now we're going to touch base on some of the COVID-19 guidelines that we need to follow. So we are asking families to please, if your son or daughter is experiencing any symptoms, please keep them home. Do not send them to a practice or a game. Just touch base with the coach, contact the coach, monitor the symptoms at home, but don't feel that they need to show up. If they're feeling any type of sickness, please keep them home. Now, to give you guys a little bit of background on how the summer played out with the Department of Education, the MIAA, and the EEA. These were all a collaborative effort throughout the summer to provide a modified sports schedule, which I discussed earlier, that the 4-season sports schedule that they put together. So the MIAA had to develop certain sport modifications in order to meet the guidelines of the EEA before each season. So we'll go through those in a little bit. But the sports that were listed as lower or moderate risk, pending these modifications, those would be allowed to be played. But the higher risk sports that are in later seasons, they'll continue to evaluate those based on the metrics and things of that nature. And then a final decision will be made closer to the start of each of those seasons. So big piece, obviously, EEA guidelines on facial coverings. So all our athletes will be required to wear a mask. For the more intense aerobic sports, they're still being required to wear the mask during play. There will be frequent breaks where they can take, whether it's in between quarters, a timeout, or if they're more than 10 feet away from others on the field, they can, remove the mask real quick, take a little break, but then have to put the mask back on. And especially when we're traveling to the games, when we're coming to and from practice, we need to be always in a mask. Coaches, staff, referees, umpires, any spectators are always going to be required to wear a mask. The social distancing. So our coaches are going to keep a record of all the individuals present at their activities. The guidelines state that no more than 25 players or participants on a single playing surface at one time. However, if there's a facility that has multiple courts or multiple surfaces, then we're able to have more than one group of 25, provided that there's plenty of separation between groups. So our soccer teams are going to have 25 on the turf, 25 on the grass. Our volleyball team is going to have 25 on one court. Down the far end, we're going to drop the curtain in the gym, and then on the other far end will be another group of 25 to keep that plenty of social distancing between our teams. Dugouts, benches, bleachers, they'll be allowed to be open, but there'll be 6 feet of distancing maintained between all participants. Locker rooms, because we're remote, probably won't be used as often, but if you do have to use the locker room for the bathroom or to change or anything like that, there will be limited capacity, so we're probably going to be only sending in about 5 kids at a time, if that. Sportsmanship, as I mentioned, will remain touchless, so no handshakes, fist pumps, or high fives. And then we are asking no congregating after games or practices. Just please, please exit the facility and then head home after the games or practices. Hygiene. So obviously our coaches and participants should maintain that proper hand hygiene, whether it's washing our hands before and after each activity. Our coaches will have hand sanitizer at practices, at games. Our coaches have also been provided with some extra masks. If the student athlete might forget theirs at home, we will have some extra masks on hand. Any shared equipment will have to be cleaned and disinfected prior to the use and after each session. Even in volleyball and soccer, balls will be cleaned and disinfected during the game. And our coaches will be provided with disinfecting wipes and disinfectant spray to be on hand for those situations. They do say that water fountains can be available for just refill stations only, but we do encourage you to bring your own water bottle with your name on it. We won't have any Gatorade jugs to fill up, so please bring plenty of hydration for you. And then, as I mentioned, because we're remote, our student athletes should just be arriving ready to go for practice, dressed, ready to go, so that we have to limit the locker room usage. EEA guidelines on spectators. So they state that no more than 50 people can be in the facility, excluding players, coaches, referees, or any game administrators or game staff. So what our plan is to allow 2 family members per athlete. And as a league, we discussed that there will be no away fans at games at this time. So there will be no away fans coming to our home games, and our parents are being instructed to not go to any away games as well. If guidelines change and the limitations, get lifted and maybe the capacity goes up a little bit, then we'll readdress this as a league. But as of right now, that is what we're going with. And then, as I mentioned, all spectators will have to wear a mask and maintain 6 feet of distance at all times. So transportation, we're working closely with our the transportation office here at QPS in their buses and bus drivers. So, but the Department of Education put out guidelines so that we can't have more than 23 team members on the bus at one time, and that includes our players and our coaches. So the guidelines also state masks on, 1 student per seat. There'll be staggered seating, and then the windows open for ventilation. All right, and as I mentioned about the MIAA had to put out modifications for the way these sports are played in order for them to be in accordance with the EEA guidelines. So there will be some sports that might look a little bit different this fall, but we're just happy to be able to have the opportunity to play. So right now in volleyball, traditionally the teams will switch sides after each set. That is going to be different this year. They'll just remain on the same side of the court throughout the match. In the bench area, teams will have to be seated or standing 6 feet apart. Substitutions will happen at the attack line now, not so much at the table anymore. And then, after a point or whatever, we can't huddle or have any sort of contact like high fives or fist bumps. Timeouts, there will be timeouts, but we have to require 6 feet of distancing when we're huddled up. And as I mentioned, the balls will be replaced after each rally and then will be cleaned, replaced with a clean ball. So somebody will be disinfecting those throughout the game. And they did institute a 3-foot line by the net. That tape will be on the floor for that to mark that 3-foot line. And Coach Niosi is aware of all the rules associated with that. So she'll explain that to the girls about how they can attack and things like that with this new 3-foot line in place. Now, soccer will definitely look different. A lot of different changes. The benches are going to be 10 feet from midfield. We're going to be playing quarters instead of halves, so 20-minute quarters. No timeouts during the game, but there will be 2-minute breaks in between each quarter, and then there'll be a 10-minute halftime. Balls will also be disinfected after each quarter and at the end of the game. Now, some more game-specific rules. There'll be a violation to intentionally head the ball, a violation to have any sort of like shoulder-to-shoulder contact or putting your hands on another opponent. Those will be that will be a violation. It's a violation to attempt or to slide tackle. All indirect kicks will be on the ground except for goal kicks. They'll replacing throw-ins with a kick-in. Corner kicks will be an indirect kick, so on the ground. And then on the goal kicks, the goalie cannot kick the ball, punt the ball, or throw the ball in the air beyond midfield. And then also the defensive wall that is sometimes traditionally used, it will not be allowed. When the play gets reset, everybody has to be 6 feet apart. For the sport of golf, we're going to follow all the safety protocols that Furnace Brook already has in place up at the golf course. But some of our other ones are masks will have to be worn upon arrival, and in any of the common areas that we use, the putting green and also the practice driving nets that are at Forbes Hill. The student athletes will be able to remove their mask once they get to the first tee box, but if they can't maintain that distance throughout the round, just have the mask handy so that they can wear the mask if they can't maintain that 6 feet of distance. There won't be any more exchanging of scorecards, and we're going to try to stagger the tee times at least 10 minutes between groups to help with the distancing as well. Scores will be recorded by the coaches after each round, and then the group will return to whatever transportation they arrived in. And then for cross country, they're saying only dual meets right now. So how we're setting it up in the league is one day will be the boys race, and then the next day will be the girls race to help with the groups. Some schools have a lot more bigger size teams, so that's how we're going to organize it. There's going to be staggered start times into smaller groups. So you're looking at probably sending out waves of 8 to 10 athletes, 4 or 5 from each school, and they also have to remain 6 feet apart. You're looking at a minimum of 3 minutes between each of those waves too, so that we can keep distance between the groups. And then the traditional scoring methods will have to be replaced. Some schools use popsicle sticks, labels, things like that. I know Coach Hennessy is working on those to try to find some innovative ways of doing the scoring. Finish lines will be a little bit different. We're going to have a lane that starts within the last 100 yards, and the teams will finish on separate sides to maintain that distance between teams. And as I mentioned, they'll be able to remove their mask during the race, but anything prior or after, they must have the mask on. And then we're going to designate a warm-up area and a warm-down area for each team to ensure social distancing. Just some other MIAA recommendations that popped up as they discussed the fall season. So the MIAA won't have a postseason tournament this fall, but we as a league are organizing some postseason double elimination type of tournament for our soccer and volleyball programs. And then the cross country and golf, we're going to try to do a league-wide tournament at the end just to give our athletes some sort of a postseason experience. Fall schedules will mainly be league-based. So if you do check out the schedules, you're going to see that we're mainly playing the opponents in the Fisher division of the Patriot League, which we are a part of. That is just to maintain, league-based and remain in a geographic region to limit travel as much as possible. But the good piece about that is that the Patriot League title would still be up for grabs because we're playing within our division. And then also, as you saw with the calendar, there is 4 seasons now, so our students would be allowed to play all 4 sport seasons if they wish. And finally, as I mentioned, tryouts will start tomorrow, Friday, September 18th, first day of practice and tryouts for all our fall sports that we're offering. Those tryout details are on our website. It's on Twitter, and I'm going to post it in the email along with this video as well to give you guys all the details about locations and times for tryouts on Friday. Okay, so that wraps up the presentation. of the information that I wanted to get out to you guys. And basically, I'm here to help you guys out. Our coaches are more than willing to help you guys out as well in any way. As I mentioned, we're super excited to have our athletes back in action on the playing surfaces, as it's been a long layoff. And, our top priority is the safety and security of all our athletes and coaches and our families. So we're going to do the best we can to provide that safe and healthy environment. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help out through email or phone. Don't hesitate. Okay. And best of luck to all our athletes tomorrow at tryouts. Go Presidents.